Hello everyone, in this video I would like to discuss Beckhoff TwinCAT 3, the CSV file writing and reading topic. And one of the motivation to discuss this CSV writing and reading, that's because in the Beckhoff system, the CSV writing and reading, this would be a regular method to implement the PLC data login function that allows us to store the PLC online data to an external file so we can offline view the file, or we can store the data into the CSV file and then load this external file to the PLC. Regarding the data in the PLC, there will be two important topics. One is the data persistent or data retained. The second topic, that is a data archive, how to save the data into somewhere else. Regarding the retain function, in Beckhoff system, I used one video talk about this persistent in the Beckhoff system before. You go to the Electrical Automation Hands-On, my YouTube channel, and go to playlist and find out the Beckhoff playlist. And check out this video, BK06, how to retain variables in Beckhoff TwinCAT 3 via persistent function. So in this video, I discussed the persistent setting and how to program the persistent function block and how to declare the variable with the persistent properties. So this is persistent. And second big topic, that is how to log in the data. Especially some cases we need to log in the PID parameters or store the recipe data or online PLC data into one file allows us to offline view that. Maybe those parameters can be in a list and we need to store this data into somewhere. So for the Siemens system, the Siemens system has a couple columns in the DB. It has the start value, snapshot value, and the monitor value. So you can right-click this area in a DB and click this show and hide. And if you need to upload the data, so once you go online, firstly you can select this snapshot of the actual value. This allows you to snapshot the online running data. So the online running data can be snapshot, upload to this column first. And then you can click this copy snapshot to start value. For example, if we click all, so it will copy all the data at this snapshot column to start value. So this allows you to even offline can monitor the data. That time you click this snapshot copy, so you can see the data in the offline mode. So those data can be saved as a snapshot, this status. So this allows you to snapshot all the important data and also copy to the start value this column. This start value column, basically it can stay here, they won't be delayed. So this is the Siemens way. Allen Bradley, you can just save the project. So that time, once you click the save project, it can do the snapshot. So snap the data. That time you click the save. So this is Siemens and Allen Bradley. But for the Beckhoff system, there's no default the method or button in the TwinCAT 3 software allows us to store the data as a data login function. But alternatively, we can use the CSV function. So the CSV function allows us to write the data from the PLC data right into the CSV file. Or we can read the data from the CSV file, load the data from the CSV file to the PLC. So basically, this can run the same target or same aim for logging the data. This could be a regular way to archive some important parameters in your running PLC. So in this video, I will show how can we implement this. So to implement the CSV writing and reading, there's no any standard function block. Alternatively, Beckhoff provide this example. To find out this example, we can go to Beckhoff information system and find out TwinCAT 3 TE1000XAE PLC libraries. Go down, find out TC2 utilities, and click this samples. Under this sample, it provides us one demo project here. This is the one PLC archived project. So it named writing and reading. And if you are the new learner, there will be a little bit confused after you download this because within this demo it gives us two methods to implement this CSV writing and reading. One is text mode, one is binary mode. So from this table, we can compare which way fit for your application. Most of the cases, we can use the text mode because this is very easy and straightforward to implement that. Basically, we won't change any core function. We just need to do some data transfer to the string, because when we output the data to the CSV, the common data type, this is a string. However, in our data type, basically we are operating the real and the integer. So we need to transfer the integer and the real into a string. We just need to do this additional programming. Okay, so you better read the detail on this. So now let's click this download, and I will show how can we implement this CSV. Also, I will show how can we transfer the integer and the real into the string and save into the CSV file. And after that, I will show how can we load the integer and the real value from the CSV file into PLC. This is a very common case. We store the data into an external file, also load some parameter from an external file into the PLC. All right, let's go to the TwinCAT. After we download this TP-zip file, we can see this is a simple program. This is the TP-zip. This is the PLC project archived. So we need to set up the project first, and then under the PLC, we import this simple program. So let's set up one solution first. From the file new project, let's set up the project first. And here I would like to mention that this is the folder we just create this solution, this project. So we need to go to PLC and import this TP-zip file. Okay, so after we create this project, let's go to the PLC, and here let's click this add existing item and select this TP-zip file, CSV example. Click open. And in the meantime, we can see, so after an import within this directory, this project directory, one folder, CSV example folder, will be created. So within this folder, we can see the DUT, GVL, POU, all the program can be imported under this project directory. Okay, after an import, so we can see this is that example project. So just have a quick glance. So from this main, we can see all those programs, how they will be called within this main program. From here, we can see the text mode and the binary mode. There are two methods to implement this, as we discussed and shown in the Beckhoff Infosys system, the web page. As we discussed, the text mode are most straightforward and easiest to understand. So in this case, I would like to show how can we use this text mode. From this example, if we go to the text mode, the read and write, under this folder. So two important things. One is where we can export the data, save the data to a directory, right? Here, the file name that shows where this CS file will be located. Another thing is, so which data we need to export to the CSV. So in this example, this is this database. And this database provide a matrix here. So this matrix, we can control this matrix size by these two parameters, max CSV rows and columns. And this max CSV rows and columns can be defined under the GVL here. Keep in mind here, this global consistent. This is consistent variable. So we can define the size of that. So in this case, rows 100 lines and columns, that is 5. So that's why if we go back to the right area, so there will be a matrix here. So that's why it has 6 columns, because the max, that's 5 here, actually that start from 0. So 0 to 5, totally it has 6 columns here. And the max CVS depends on how much data you want to store or want to read from the CSV. So in this example, we can see whatever read or write here, this is the definition for the file directory. And you must make sure you have this directory, especially the folder name. So in this example, I will create a folder, and especially I will rename this folder, okay? And also I will download the program, and firstly, we will write the data. Use the exact same example. I will show how can we use this first. Okay, so let me create folder first. Okay, under the C drive, let me create one folder. Let's create one folder named CSV data. Okay, and then let's go back to here. So firstly, let's change this text mode, the read and write. So firstly, let's change this to write first. So the directory will be CSV data. And the file name we can rename, or in this case, I can use this default name. So text mode general. Okay, .csv. Take care, you must name this .csv here. And we can also change the read this directory. Okay, CSV data. Okay, now we can download this program. So firstly, I need to go to the system and make sure my controller license. Okay, I can click this trial license. This trial license allows us to test that. Okay. Okay, we activate that. And then let's go to the real time. We need to set up this real time. So read from the target, read the actual courses from your system, and then select the isolated this core. So all those tasks have to use the isolated core, and then click this set target. Okay, click set. All right, after this, we can download the project. So we can click build the solution and download. So let's do a quickly download and test the CSV file write and read. Okay, now we can download, active the configuration. Okay, now under this directory, CSV data, this folder, now it has nothing here. Okay, and then let's download, log in the program. All right, now the program start. And then let's go to the main. So let's jump into the text mode, write first. So this is write. Okay, from this write, we can see it set up this structure very nice. So it's using the case step number, so we can clearly know where it at. So by default, the step is 0. It's waiting for a binary write this command. Once it's turned on, this entire sequence can be started. Okay, now if I turn on, double click here and I click this write value. So we can see this number is cycling here. That's because the entire rows and columns, we defined a big matrix here, 100 rows and totally 6 columns here. So it's keeping writing here. That's why it keeps looping here. And now it go back to 0. That means the write task done. That's why it come back to 0. And now if we go back to this folder here, see? So this is CSV file. To quickly view this, we can use just a node to see that. So we can see those data right into here. And to change this separator, we can go to the main. And here, this bool, we can toggle this bool so it can change comma or change semicolon used as a separator in the CSV file. So it's changing this. We just run this test mode write. So it write into this CSV file, those data. So where this data come from? We go to the write. From here, it defines this local variable, the database here. And if we expand here, so we can see this is the 2 dimensions array here. See? So this is the actual data. And if we shift to the logout mode, we can see this is a static showing here. And this database based on the string. Keep in mind this. And this defines the length of the string. And also, if we go to the login, the online mode, and to monitor this database, we can use the watch list to write or monitor this database. So we can go to the PLC, turn on this watch 1. This is watch list. And from here, we can click this add watch. So from here, we can monitor. Also, we can write the data at here. For example, from this database 00, so we can change this string to ABC. And change this second one, let's say change this to This data here, 31.5, this is just a string. So later I will show how can we convert a real or integer value into string. But temporarily we can directly type in this string. So right into this database, this 2 dimensions array here. And then let's execute this write again. So firstly, I will close this CSV file. So currently the data file is like this. Okay, so let me close. And after I click this write, the new data will write into the CSV file. Watch this step number. Once it go back to 0, okay, that means done. Okay, and then let's go to this directory, open. Okay, we can see the ABC is at here, and the second line, the 0, 1, this second columns, so 31.5 is showing here. That means once we change the data into this database, this big buffer, and once we execute this bwrite, so the new data can be write into the CSV. This can be used for archive or snapshot or parameters. For example, the PID parameters, recipes, or other the site points value from your system. We can transfer the data to this database and then export to a CSV file. And because this is a CSV file, so it's easy for us to, within the Windows, we can save into another place, into a shared folder, or use Excel to open it, right? So for example, if I use Excel to open it, the Excel doesn't know the separator, which separator you are using. Now we're using this semicolon here. So we can click this first column and then go to data and go to the text to column. And here we can pick which separator we are using. So now we're using the semicolon here. And then let's click the next. Let's click the finish. So we can see the system will know using this semicolon as a separator, so the data can show in here. And we can use the first column, write some like a stationary text. For example, the recipes number, sugar, water, or the PID parameters, again, integral and derivative parameters. You can write the columns here and write other data to those columns. Okay, this is use the Excel how to read the CSV file. Okay, now let's test the read. So we can run this text mode read. So since we defined this file name, so let's go to the logout mode first. This is the definition for that directory where it can read. So let's firstly double check if this file match. It named the text mode general here, okay? And before we execute this read, okay, we can change this data within this CSV. For example, you have some data wrote outside the PLC and you want to load the data into the PLC, right? For example, maybe this is a recipe, maybe you change over the job and this new job definitely needs some new parameters. For example, I can write the data at here, this is the 2_0, write something here. I can write 45.5, for example, here. Okay, I can save it. Okay, we assume we have a new file loading into this folder. And now let's go online and execute this read. So double click and click this write value. Okay, we can see this step number is cycling here. That means it's reading this file. In the meantime, we can see the arrow is not showing the arrow. And here it shows the row. That means it actually read the 101, there's rows here. Okay, and then let's go to the buffer. That buffer comes from the read buffer. Okay, this database. And keep in mind, this database is a local variable. It's within this read program. That's why if now I click this add watch, even this database is the same name with the database name under the write, but when we click this add watch, so we can see this database belongs to the write, this database belongs to the read. Okay, so we can check the database under the read, so we can expand here And we can check out the third line actually here. So we can see this 45.5 is showing here. Also, the data stayed in the CSV ABC, and this is 31.5 also read from that CSV file into the PLC. Okay, using this way, we can load the data from the CSV file. And then the rest of things, we can convert this string. Keep in mind, this is a string. We can convert the string into the integer or into the float, into the real value. And now I can show, firstly, how can we convert an integer and the real into this CSV database. And then we can write the integer and the string into the database and write into the CSV. And then I can show how can we convert a string into integer or the float, a real value. So we can define some global variable. So the global variable, we can use the GVL, or we can create a new one. So global variable list. So now let's create a new global variable list. So I can name that DB, database. Okay. So keep in mind, this is a global variable. All right. So now I can declare one integer and one real. That's used to write the data into the CSV. So we can name that, that's the integer data to CSV. And second, I can declare the data to CSV. This is a real, so this is prefix named R. This is integer, and this is real. Okay. All right. Those two data is a demonstration for showing if we need to archive some data from the PLC to the CSV. Okay, after we declare those two variables, let's go to the write text mode, write. So we will convert that two data. One cell, we can use this line. This is 1, 0. And second, we can use the 2, 0. We can write the integer here and write the real value here. And how can we write that? So let's use the bottom line at this program. So we can write the database 1, 0. And keep in mind, this is a string. So we need to convert the integer and the real into string. So we will use command that to convert the integer that named int_2 string bracket. In the bracket, we will use the variable we just declared. So db dot integer variable. Okay, this is convert the integer into a string, and we will copy this string into this database, the cell 1, 0. This is the second line here, and then next one, database second column 2, 0. So this time we'll convert real. So it named real to string. Okay, and the variable, that's the db real value. Okay, and keep in mind here, the database here, that's because we are within this program, within this write program, so I can directly use this database. This database declared under this write. So once I write the copy data here, that directly write into this database, this buffer, that's under the write. Keep in mind this. Okay, now we can download login. Okay, now I can add the watch list. So we can write the data here. For example, for the integer, I can write, say, 205. And the real value, I can write 3.14. Okay, click write. And we prepare the data. And now we can see the write database. So the 1, 0, it prepared this 205 data. And for the 2, 0, the 3.14 is prepared. Okay, so now once we execute this write, so let's see if this two data can write into the CSV file successfully. It got a 0. So now let's go to the CSV file. As we can see, the second line, the 0 column 205 right here. And the 3.14 is here. So the archive and export this CSV file successfully. That's the typical scenario if we need to backup or store some data into CSV file, especially for some very important parameters and side point. Okay? And now, let me demonstrate how can we convert the data into the PLC, real and integer. Okay? Now let me show how can we read the data and transfer to integer and real. So firstly, let's declare two variable. Okay, db, that's specially used to receive the data from the CSV. One is integer, one is a real. So it can name integer data from CSV. And second one, from CSV real. So let's go to the text mode read. And we will use the database. So because the receive buffer will transfer to the database, this database is under the text mode read, this database. Okay. And firstly target, that's the db dot the data from CSV integer. And then we will use the command that convert the string to integer. So we will use string to integer. Okay, and the data source, we can pick one cell from this database, this array. So this is a database, and we can pick the second line and the second column. So we can use 2, 2. So this is integer. And next, the target, that's a real. So we can pick the data from CSV real. And same command, the string, and this time the command will be the string to real. To real. Okay, and this time database, we can use the third line, second column. Okay. All right, so we prepare this two command here. And now let's prepare some data from the CSV. Okay, the integer data 2.2. This is a 0, 1, and 2. And the column, this is 0, 1, 2. So this is a 2, 2, the cell. Okay, we can write the data here. This is the integer data. We can write 420 here. Okay, and for the real value, we can read the data from the 3 column and 2 here. 0, 1, 2, 3 rows, and the columns, that is a 0, 1, 2 here. We can prepare one real value. For example, this is a 6.28. Okay, we can prepare one real value here. Okay, we can save the data. This is demonstrate if we have some important data, we need to load the data from a CSV file to PLC. Okay, to change over your production or load very important recipe, right? So we prepare the data. Now let's log in the program. And we can execute the read. Double click read. And we can see the step number is cycling here. Okay, it turned to 0 without error. And now, so we can see this 2, 2. That string is 420. It converts to the integer 420. And here, it shows 6.28. This is a string and convert to real. And this is two typical case, integer and the real value. Also, if you have a long real, you can use L real. This is long real. You can convert a long real into the string or convert the string to long real. So just use L, REAL. Okay, this is the case we can write the data to the database and write into the CSV file, or we can read the data from the CSV file into PLC variable. So this is a very common case. Okay, this is a brief demonstration to show how can we exchange the data between the PLC and the CSV. It's very convenient and very useful. we can archive the data or we can load the data from the external file. So we can back up our important data or we can load the recipe value into the PLC. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumb up. If you like to watch more videos in my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell. Thank you for watching.